Ever since the trailer for the Breath of the Wild sequel dropped at E3 last year, fans have been going nuts about many things, not the least of which is Zelda's new look. She seemed to have such a prominent role in this trailer, and that tied in with her new look, many have speculated whether or not she's going to be a or the playable character in this sequel. Some are all for it, while others heavily against it. The former has videos coming out the wazoo praising the idea of Zelda being our avatar for the sequel. However, there don't seem to be a ton of people mentioning why this might not be the best idea, or at least those videos aren't popular. So today I'm asking the question, what's so bad about the idea of Zelda being playable? Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice, and yeah, today's topic might be considered a tiny bit risky, seeing as my impression is that no matter which side you're on, feelings and opinions on this topic run strong. Let me just say, I am far more open to the idea of playing as Zelda now than I was when the trailer dropped at E3 last year. I used to give it a hard no thank you, Link only, but after watching several really well done videos and listening to the thoughts and perspectives of not just those making the videos but also some friends, I can see the appeal of playing as Zelda in a mainline Zelda game. Gameplay mechanics, story, lore, there's a ton to be said for the idea, but there are still a couple of little things that stand in the way of my fully jumping on the bandwagon. Before we get into that, let us first ask this. Why might she be playable in the first place, and what makes that a good idea? From a gameplay perspective, playing as Princess Zelda seems like a very intriguing and appealing idea, but also a necessary one. For many of us, we kind of maxed out Link's capabilities in the first Breath of the Wild game, and if what we saw in the trailer, namely the thing with Link's hand, is toward the beginning, and I'll get into story specifics later, then that could possibly strip Link of all of his extra abilities. But honestly, that would feel like a cop-out. They could make it work like they did with Majora's Mask, but I'm not so sure. Playing as Princess Zelda would offer us a fresh and new beginning. Not saying we wouldn't ever play as Link, but maybe we have to earn the ability to be him after a certain point in the story or in the game in general. But that's going into lore, which I don't want to discuss just yet. Another note is that we are in the same exact Hyrule, which has never happened in another Zelda sequel. Majora's Mask was set in Termina, Phantom Hourglass set in New Hyrule, so on and so forth. While I have no doubt that the developers are adding areas for us to explore, either underground or even new developments within the Hyrule we know, it's still the same Hyrule nonetheless. Getting to explore this world again, but as Zelda instead of Link, would open up so many new possibilities, seeing as she would probably have different gameplay mechanics. I would hope. As far as the story and the lore go, playing as Zelda seems like a no-brainer. Of course that's a good idea, right? I mean, think of the plot twists. Having to earn the ability to play Link because something is wrong with his hand, or he's just too powerful to play as in the beginning, or getting to switch between the two depending on what your next objective is. I know I'm not the first to point these out, but there are two main elements that seem to suggest that yes, we will be playing as Princess Zelda, and the first is of course, the haircut. You've probably heard this in every single video on the topic, but in Japanese culture, a woman cutting off her hair is very symbolic and a very big deal. It's supposed to symbolize her going into a new phase of life or making a big change. And sure, that's not the biggest piece of evidence to suggest that she'll be playable, if anything, just that she'll have a more prominent role next to Link in the story. However, the story is where I think we do have a lot more evidence. Again, another thing many point out is that there is this anime called Princess Mononoke, I'm so sorry for butchering that pronunciation, which I believe comes from Studio Ghibli. Its base story elements are eerily similar to that of Breath of the Wild and the trailer for the sequel. In it, the male protagonist has something happen to his arm, very similar in idea and look to what happens to Link's arm in the sequel trailer. Also, if you take a certain scene from that anime and compare it to the first teaser trailer from Breath of the Wild, the first one, you'll notice that they kind of match up frame for frame. No doubt, Breath of the Wild was at least inspired by this story. In addition, the female protagonist in the anime has short hair. Okay, I know that's not the biggest piece of evidence, but we all see it, okay? It's when you put these traits and comparisons together that you begin to see that yes, Breath of the Wild was very much inspired by this story, so it would only make sense for the sequel to follow suit. So what are my concerns about being able to play as Zelda? She cannot be like Link. It wouldn't make sense. I mean, she's grown up a prim and proper princess despite her wanting to do more. You can't expect that she'll be able to climb literally everything or be a great swordswoman. I don't know if that's the phrase. She doesn't have the same natural abilities and training as Link, so she must have her own set of skills vastly different from Link. But then that makes me worried too, because I like Link's abilities and I don't want those taken away. I want to be able to continue climbing everything. But it wouldn't make sense to climb everything as Princess Zelda because she wouldn't be able to do that. Maybe they can figure out a way for her to use the Sheikah Slate, like Purah somehow finagles with it and makes it so she can have access to it too, or just makes her a new one, I don't know. It's possible. My other worry is the story. I don't want it to become some superficial, look, females are amazing, like everyone in Hollywood does right now. Honestly, just give us good characters. I couldn't care less whether they're male or female. That shouldn't matter. However, this concern is pretty much nullified by the fact that Nintendo has always done a great job with their stories and they don't really get political about anything. Fumibayashi, which no, I don't know how to pronounce that, is also one of the directors for this, like he was on Breath of the Wild, the first game, which is good to know as far as story. The games he directed in the past were very lore focused until Breath of the Wild, where he allowed for story to be somewhat on the back burner. Even so, I still enjoyed the story of the first Breath of the Wild for what it was, and I can only imagine that he's gonna slay us with a stellar story in the sequel. Like without a doubt, Zelda theorists on YouTube are gonna have content coming out of their ears for the next several years, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm pretty confident about the story. In conclusion, I've pretty much come all the way around to the idea of Zelda being a playable character in this sequel, if for no other reason than I trust Nintendo. I love their games and I really shouldn't question it too much. It's not like it's Hyrule Warriors or something, which is so not my kind of game. It's fine if you enjoyed it, but I just, blech. No, not my kind of game. This is a main title Zelda game, and if they see fit to make Princess Zelda a playable character or the playable character, then so be it. I look forward to the game either way. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to my thoughts on this topic. I know it's not the longest or most in-depth video ever, but I had been wanting to talk about it for a while. Not to mention, in this very moment, all I want to do is go play Animal Crossing, which I live stream a lot now, so just keep checking the channel, notification bell, I don't know, all that stuff, and you'll see it. Come join, it's a lot of fun. Speaking of live streams, I have finally rescheduled the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tournament in thanks for getting to 3,000 subs because my laptop broke and so I had to reschedule it. It is now rescheduled for Wednesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have a Switch and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you will be able to join. You'll just have to join the live stream and then I'll give you the information then. So please, please come. It'll be a lot of fun and I can't wait to whoop y'all's butts. Or get beaten by you. One of the two. I think I have a fair chance. Be sure to check out my Instagram at The Geek Apprentice, and if you want, join the geekdom, as I love to call it, by subscribing to the channel. But if you would also like to join a different part of the geekdom community where we get to talk all the time, then be sure to check out patreon.com/thegeekapprentice and look at the tier Citizen of the Magic Kingdom, because that tier and higher, they all give you access to my private Discord community. It's a ton of fun, so just a thought, throwing it out there. But anyway, that is all for today. Thank you for watching.